I mean, my neighbors are having a barbecue. Uh, they do that a lot in the summer. I absolutely love it. I can always tell because Sabrina, she's a grandma. She'll be out there mowing her lawn, even if it's really hot or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you can tell she's getting ready, and then they have a get together, and then all the cousins come, and yeah, I'm a big dork. I'm always like running over there with bubbles and flowers. Anyway, because I don't know, that's I guess what we did when I was growing up. So that's kind of my thing is I just have a theory that that we're just too unhappy to do any better than we're doing. And I just don't think that there's any way out of this Groundhog Day, this awful, hopeless drudge that we've fallen into. There's no way out of this except through it, meaning, we need to turn and face it. And I say that because when I realized that I was in hell, I didn't know what the hell to do. Is the honest to God truth. I didn't know what had happened to me or to my life or to the world or anything. I just knew that nothing seemed to work the way that it was supposed to, or the way I thought it would, or the way that I had intended. Things just never came out the way I'd intended them to come out. And so it didn't matter how determined I was or how hard I fought or how many times I got up or how much I accepted or resolved. I couldn't understand the actual fact of what manifested, and it made me feel, and I'm telling you this because I think that we all feel this is the point. Once I came through the eye of the needle, I realized that, just because of all the teachers that there are, that's how I found my way back through, is all these teachers. It's like a link, a living link. And, it's everybody, all the people the ascended masters, people who have mastered their own addiction to emotion and drama is all it is, taken themselves out of the equation enough to see the forest and not just the trees. And then they do things like make movies like Star Wars, and they write books, like the Lord of the Rings series, and on and on and on. Music that just pours out of them, and art, and all kinds of things that they do. And they write books telling us what's possible, and they travel around and speak to us, and it's not enough, because it's taking place just beyond the shroud of misery that we're in. It's like we're in a fog bank. And I know that because as soon as I cleared the fog bank, I was like, Jesus, God, where did all these people come from? And then I'm like, wait, Emerson, he's always been here, just like that, Carl Jung, what the hell? Carl Jung's always been here. Why didn't I know this? So that's my point, is that 4.5 years of doing this, of trying to make sure that I didn't have to take antidepressants, that I didn't have to rely on somebody else's judgment, is what happened to me. I got tired of being diagnosed, and I got tired of being told that I was crazy when I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew what I was I was sad, and I was angry, and I was frustrated, and I was confused. And I had every reason to be, because I have always been a kind person, and I've always been a loving person, and yet the world is still just baffling and doesn't work, and so, like I said, as I accessed all this information from these teachers who were, struggling with the same kind of burden of how to be kind in an unkind world, how to love in an unloving world, and in a cruel world where everybody just sees what is written on the screen in front of, and I don't mean phones, I'm not talking about that, I'm just saying it's like we're all wearing these safety helmets with visors, and some people have dirty visors and some people have 27,000 visors, and all those visors have writing on them and experiences, and it's all of our biases and all of our triggers, and that's what's keeping us from seeing each other. And because we're not seeing each other, we're all going crazy, because we need each other to understand ourselves. And because we have been denied information about the way that our brains work and the way that our interpersonal relationships are relating, how that actually takes place, and physiologically, neurologically, and how everything that we've ever made is really just us trying to explain ourselves to ourselves, computers and cars and everything. And so I think that we're stuck in this really awful loop because we're scared and we're ashamed. And it reminds me of my mom in the year before she died. She was trying to kill herself, but I didn't realize it, because when my dad did it, he just left, and he was gone, And my mom, she tried at least 4 times, and I took her to the hospital because her legs wouldn't work and shit. And she kept giving me stuff and telling me stuff and giving me papers and instructions. She was giving me instructions, but I didn't see it, because this is the thing, is that there's a switch in our brain, and it blocks access. It's like a switching on a train track. If we are too stressed, then we literally cannot spare the resources to run the part of the track that deals with those kinds of things. Like, there might be more here than what you're being told. That was on a different track. I was too self-absorbed is the thing. And I was self-absorbed because I was miserable, and I was miserable because I was living a lie. And I was living a lie because I panicked after my dad killed himself, and I quit school, and I married somebody that I shouldn't have married. And then I had kids, and I kept trying to surface, I kept feeling myself trying to surface, and then I would just go, no, you can't do that, because the world is confusing enough without trying to figure out how to amicably and rationally separate from somebody, and not, he's got the Ivy League education, and my family's a mess, and I'm the sensitive person who's been ground up by my family implodes, all that. So, I know how that's going to work in the courts. So I just doubled down on self-pity for a while. And then when that led me to just the brink of suicide, I was forced to just reverse engineer the whole damn thing. And that's been a ride. But this is the thing, is that it's not impossible. It's not hard. I'm not particularly clever. I'm not physically really my body is falling the fuck apart. But what I'm saying is anybody can do it. And once you do, then you can lift your head without feeling like somebody's going to smack you on the nose or tell you to get in your lane, or all the things. I don't know. I know I was told not to get too big for my britches and all that crap, So I just think that we're ashamed because we know that some stupid shit's gone on, and I think we've done some stupid shit and whatever. It doesn't matter. I just think that we're all just miserable, and I think that we're all baffled. And I think that if we just admitted that and kind of went, my bad kind of, as far as like where we are right now, like I feel like saying to people, that I'm really sorry that I had my head up my own ass for so long, because really I didn't realize how many, really awful things are being done that, that I could have been paying attention to. And that I would want to pay attention to. And so I get done raising my kids, and I look up and I realize that I raised them for a world that doesn't even exist. Because I raised them, you know, like Clifford and Little Bear and, you know, that kind of shit, you know? You know, and yet at the same time, I raised them in public schools, and I didn't raise them to be. This is the thing, is that we're each able to see and do what we're able to see and do. And what we have right now is we have leaders, so-called, who are not qualified. They've proven that they're not qualified because they're getting us in all kinds of trouble. I just think that way too often we get sort of shuttled along on a path, and then we don't know how to put it, you know, we don't know how to back up. We don't know how to put the brakes on or change gears or change the settings on the, you know, you get my metaphor, analogy, whatever it is. Anyway. Okay, well, but I got to do some gardening. I just, I'm determined to communicate everything I think could be useful to people that I know are in a position similar to positions that I've been in the last however many years since I made an idiotic decision, you know? And I just feel like there's no point in me reverse engineering all that crap and having moments of happiness and bliss when, you know, everybody I know is still suffering. And it's not enough for me to think that, you know, it doesn't matter that I can, you know, find people that I resonate with. That's okay too. I resonate with everybody in person. I don't know. I don't understand the internet though. So I would really like to figure out how to reach people who are suffering from things that I've suffered from. And I guess, I owe a debt of gratitude to a subscriber who made a comment about me needing help, and I do need help. I have no idea how to do anything, and I have help to give, which I trust now because I know what my intentions are. That's all. Because I just know that that my heart is breaking. I don't want us to do this. I don't want us to go down this road. I just think that we need to remember, those of us who can, we need to remember what it's like to be together, you know, with just a bunch of people that some you know and some you don't, like at a barbecue or something, I don't know, but like a big, whatever you can imagine, that where you felt like something that you looked forward to, you know, I mean, where you thought people knew you, and also there was, you know, good conversation and interesting people telling stories, and life was happening, you know. And I miss that. And so for the last 4.5 years, I've been figuring my shit out and cleaning up my messes and trying to sort of wrap my life up because, you know, I've raised my kids and, well, frankly, I want to get out in the world and see about some of those babies, you know, some of those kids that's my thing. And so it's the thing I've always been good at. I really see kids, and that I think that's all they need and want. And so, you know, I'm preparing to sell my house, and so I'm having an estate sale, and then I don't know what. But the point is that I was a bitter bitch, and I was part of the problem, and I was fucking up. And I was ashamed of myself, and I was no good to anybody, and I was selfish and self-destructive. And now I look out in the world 4.5 years later, and I see that there are so many people who are going through it in ways that I just recognize. It's just we're human. And I think if we stopped beating each other up, we could learn from each other, and we could have fun with each other, figuring out this shit. Women's groups in neighborhoods, and kids' play groups. And I've been collecting books, like to have a reading room. I just think there's so many things that we could be doing. We could be combining, messed up dogs with foster kids, and let them train them. And, we could give our time to people in old folks' homes, and bring them out and let them do talks, or, let them play with babies. There's so many things that we could be doing to spread some love around so that we wouldn't have to be pulled down by hate, because that's what's happening. Anyway, I need to actually write a list down, because I wake up every day and just say, please show me how I can help. Please show me how I can help. Please show me how I can help. And so I get these ideas, because that's what happens when you ask. And so I think I need some help, though, to communicate this, because I don't know how any of this stuff works, and I don't do social media, and I don't want to do social media. I don't want to do any of it. I just want to, put my arms around some people and I just want to help people come together. I'm good at that, because I really, really like people, all people, and I think we all just really want to be seen, and I think we just need to go in the opposite direction of where we've been going. We just need to start some really radical acceptance, and even if we want to, and maybe it's just I keep having this thought of, everybody gets all mad and likes to talk about Karens. I'll tell you something about Karens, or who you think are Karens. It doesn't even matter, but each so-called group or identity or whatever has something spectacular and interesting and powerful that we are not enjoying and benefiting from and learning from and supporting, because we are so caught up in our own bullshit. If we would just stop beating up on the Karens and just say, hey, how about this? That's some righteous indignation you got going on there. Could we get it pointed in a direction that would actually benefit the greatest good? Because that's what we're all supposed to be doing. And what I mean by that is, there are women who feel perfectly comfortable opening up their mouths and saying and asking, okay, good. That's a good thing. We need that. We do. Because a lot of people can't. A lot of people don't feel like they can. I mean, they could, but right now they can't. And maybe they need to learn. Maybe they need to see somebody do it who's like, yeah, I can go and ask, So let's just, instead of being mad at them for that and pushing them into a corner so that then they act badly in response, because that's what we do, we could, instead of saying, they're white women, I hate that. That's not nice. Don't do that. Instead of that, just be like, that bitch needs some coke. That bitch needs a little come up. I mean, just like some information. Let me show you how it's done. Instead of shaming people because they are, it's just ridiculous. Why? And nobody likes that. So don't do it. Really, we could just solve all of our problems if we just agreed to one thing. I will not do you dirty, because I don't like to be done dirty. There you go. So, I have a feeling that this is waiting on an OG uprising. It's time for a permanent underclass come up. I think there's so many of us who know better, and we're just not saying anything because we don't know what to say. We don't know how to say it, because the world it's like in Shawshank Redemption when he comes out and says the world went and got itself in a great big hurry. That's how I feel. And I have been, poor me, here and there and here and there and here and there for years and years and years, until finally I was just like, wait a minute, what the fuck? I don't do that. I'm not a fucking punk. When did I become a fucking punk? Literally. I became a fucking punk because I was living a lie, and you can't have integrity when you are living a lie. When you're saying, oh, okay, And what you really want to say is, would you shut up now, please? Or, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we need to stop being polite. We need to be honest. We need to tell people when they're being obnoxious, because you can do it respectfully. I share a house with my ex-husband. I know these things. Well, he's not my ex-husband, but we're very, very estranged. And that is the pearl in the sand. Not to say that I'm a pearl yet, but I'm working on it. Because I'm not trying to argue in front of my kids. I don't like that. I can see how uncomfortable it makes them. And I think that we've lost sight of how important it is to act right for our kids. And I think it's not like because we're bad people, it's because we've been disempowered. We really have. And so it's just this giant circle, this round and round and round circle. It's like parents get no respect. And, well, nobody really respects anybody because we thought, oh, that would be a fun direction. Everybody just act however they want. Really, it's not working. The reason why there's such a thing as something called a social justice warrior is because somebody has a lot of rage. And that's not for us to question. That's just for us to, it's for us to care about. It's for us to own. The way I look at it is if the generation behind me is filled with rage, it's my responsibility. If my kids are filled with rage, that's my responsibility. And that's really uncomfortable. And I know it may sound like it's easy for me to say. It's not easy for me to say because I had to do it, because I had to look at my damn self when I got attitude from my kids that I didn't like. And when things disintegrated around me that I didn't, there were people who died, in the middle of estrangement. And I knew that I was filled with love, but was not communicating it, so that's all I knew. I didn't know what the fuck. I just knew that that's what was happening, is that I've never had an evil intention, and yet kept ending up in this situation where, somebody where I was estranged from somebody and I was surrounded by people who don't communicate, who don't know how to communicate, because none of us were taught that. We were all taught to keep secrets and lie and prevaricate and angle and manipulate and all this, just all these little things that we learned. And we learned all those things because everybody around us was living lies like I have been, and then trying to prop up the lie. And I'm just saying, I think that rather than let all of civilization basically tumble over the edge of a cliff, which is what's going to happen if we don't get our shit together, because we're breaking down as we speak. We're not going to have enough sane people left or enough happy people left when the calamities start. And the calamities are going to come because we fucked up the environment, and we're going to have to clean that up and face it and deal with it and bring it through, bring ourselves and the rest of the planet through with some dignity and some respect and some courage and some morality. We need to bring some morality back into the world, a lot of morality back into the world. And the only way that you can do that is when you are free of shame, because otherwise morality is the last fucking thing you want to have anything to do with. Again, I'm totally speaking from experience, but what I do know is that it just gets more and more and more and more painful and more awful. So knowing that, there's no way that I can not say, seriously, I don't care what you think if you're miserable, there's something you don't know, or there's something that you're thinking wrong about, or you've been misinformed. And of course, why wouldn't you be? Look at who you've learned from. So if you're not happy, there's a reason. And rather than look for who's to blame, you could just decide that you're going to own your own reality, because the fact is you do. And the only reason that you don't know that is because every generation does this flip-flopping thing, right? And we our parents were sort of neglectful and mean, and really paid no attention to us and told us to sit down and shut up, kind of thing. They weren't very fair. There was no justice, and anyway. So then we kind of came over the top of that and tried to. We were permissive. That's all. We were permissive. Maybe especially white parents. I don't really know. I just know we were permissive, and so we were permissive. And then also, we're all acting like we know things that we don't know. We're acting like, we got this, even though we're just fucking baffled, and we don't ask, and because We don't want to look foolish or whatever. And so we're just getting worse and worse. Like, as human beings, that's just all there is to it. We're decompensating. And it reaches a point where it's not pretty. It's terrifying. I was actively trying to hurt myself and destroy myself. I didn't even realize this is what I was doing, but I was sitting with a hot cup of tea, reading a book, and I just dumped the tea in my lap. Can't explain that one. Broke my own hand. I was walking I was carrying something and it banged into the wall and the bookshelf, and I didn't stop. I watched my own hand break. I had a really hard time explaining that to the doctor, but I fell off things, and I was absolutely magnetically drawn to anything that was dangerous or destructive or demoralizing, because that matched how I felt. And it's no wonder. And what I want to say to people is that, when I say own it, because it wasn't our fault. We were not taught the right things. We weren't allowed to learn who we were and how to function and how to get along and all that. We really weren't. And that's because there's been a system in place forever that, is designed to have a very few making the decisions for the all. And I don't know whose idea that was, but it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because we have spirit inside of us that is clawing to get out. If you bring forth what is within you will serve you. If you fail to bring forth what is within you will destroy you, because it will it'll just rip and claw its way through you. Because we're disgusted by ourselves. We're ashamed and we're uncomfortable. It's like we're wearing a horsehair shirt all the time. And we're mad at the world, and then also the people that we live with very often, they just continue to, because we don't tell them when they're being obnoxious, they continue to grate on our nerves. And that's a real thing that happens. That's not a joke. You're literally shortening your telomeres through all of that agitation and that stress and that frustration. And then the other thing is that we go out and take that out on the world because we don't know how to deal with it when it's in our own house or whatever, with our all these complicated relationships. Well, we don't need to deal with any of it. All we need to do is deal with ourselves and stop hating ourselves. And the only way you can do that is to stop fucking up. Stop lying. Stop doing things that you know are wrong or that you don't feel or aren't committed to. Stop living as if you have skin in the game, and find someone who fell where you didn't fall, or fell where you were supported, or, find somebody who is not coming through the shit as well as you are, and help them. That's what my parents taught me, and among many other things, but that you can always be kind and you can always be generous. And we always had people coming and going and staying with us. And then I married somebody who just cannot stand that. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have been better prepared for those decisions. But how could I be? My parents didn't know. Their parents didn't know. Your parents probably didn't know. And all that's fine and dandy if we just accept it and admit it and go, you know what? Maybe none of us is perfect. Maybe we're all just a hot mess. And we're just playing it off. But what we're really doing is we're fucking up the electric slide for everybody. And that's not okay. We don't have that right. And if I was Mother Nature, I would be coming for that ass Tyrone. So I think maybe we should just shut up and get to work. See how we feel in 6 months. See if maybe we have a little more patience and consideration, respect, and compassion. It would go a long way.